Brad? I'm just kidding. We're live. Welcome to 1111 True Crime, my beautifuls. This is a live. You might be watching a replay. And just so you know, we chit-chat. I read people's comments, and it's all just a lot of different information. So, I want to say hello to Tina. Hello, Tina Kazi. Hello, lovely. You say hi, Mama D and family. Let's go ahead, get chat on the board right away. I moved it. Hold on. There we go. So we're going to be doing a lot of talking here today and about real life. And have you guys been hearing about the earthquakes? Remember yesterday, I don't know, what was it, 4 o'clock? I was like in the PM. I was like, okay, you guys, I'm feeling something. I don't know how to tell you, but I want you to take some precautions. I'm trying to ignore the feeling that I feel an earthquake is coming. And then last night, now this is one of the things we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get into a crime that I can't even make up this scenario. This is one of crimes that I'm at a loss for words. Brutal crime scene. 27-year-old teacher, absolutely gorgeous, harmed multiple times like the Idaho 4, in the back of the head, in the neck, all over her back, over 20 red rums, and they say it was self-inflicted. Can't make it up. I'm like, okay, we're going to be talking about Ellen Greenberg because that's impossible. That can't happen. And so I went back and I got like the gist of the story, and I found a little summary write-up that brings us, like, 3 articles that bring us kind of up to speed. And her family, her parents, are now breaking their silence and coming forward, and I can't wait to share with you what they have to say. So it is an absolutely shocking story, and it does feel impossible, and how can it not be homicide? And we're going to look at some trigger warning when we get there. There's going to be some graphic, actual visual content, even just in the illustration, because I'm like, ugh. So I want to get into this. Hello, who is all with me? We got Tina. Hi, Jennifer. Now, if you're on replay, I want to say thank you. I love you. You feed the algorithm. You show me your love. You make my world go round. And if you're on the live, I feel the same way. Welcome home to all of you. Welcome back. Now, when I meet and greet, remember, if you're on replay, I happily encourage you to skip ahead. No problem, lovely. Beautiful. My beautiful Jennifer Swain, my gorgeous Karen Guy, my lovely Debbie Gazzardo. All right, Brat, Tina's here. We have some beautiful faces. Hi, Aunt Claire. You says was just passing by and saw this and just started. This case, Ellen's smile, has haunted me for almost 9 years now. Oh, you wait. This story is going to pull you in within a paragraph because you're going to be outraged like me. I'm like, I don't know a lot about this. We're going to grab this stuff because this is what I've been trying to talk about in other cases, when everybody knows that this is not okay. She didn't do this herself. You said come to know and love her parents. So glad to see it being covered. Bless you, Mama D. Well, we have one in that location. They had one. Start understanding what that means, okay? Now, I'm not here to put fear in your heart. I'm not. I'm giving you heads up. Take some precautions. I feel something strong coming. I told you this yesterday. Well, that was at 4 o'clock my time, and this actually took place 11 p.m. which would have been 7 hours after I expressed it, give or take a half hour there, about it. So, Southern California, of course, rocked by series of earthquakes, is a bigger one brewing. And that's where I'm trying not to be too over the top. But y'all, I have to tell you, my gut is telling me, it's screaming, take precautions. Here we go. This is from USA Today, and it's from today. Today's date is 8/7/2024. Tomorrow is Lionsgate. I feel it between now and coming up. I said up till October. All right, so I don't know what it is, but I feel a big energy. It says an earthquake and dozens of aftershocks rattled Southern Californians starting on Tuesday night, last night, as of me airing this now, and continued into Wednesday morning. Could a bigger one be on the way? As a general rule, the risk, hold on, there's an ad on the phone. As a general rule, the risk is fairly low. About 5 to 10% of all California earthquakes are followed by larger ones within a week, and the probability of a larger earthquake depends on how much aftershock activity there is. According to the USGS, lots of aftershock activities doesn't guarantee a bigger quake. However, the latest quake certainly has aftershock activity. A magnitude of 5.2. Pay attention to the numbers I'm sharing. 7 hours after I spoke about it, and 5.2 is a 7. At 9:09 p.m., 9:09 is an 18. Break it down, it's still a 9. That is universe talking. When it's a root number, I believe it's a prime number, 9. In Lamont, California, near Bakersfield, was felt as far away as Los Angeles, over 1,000 miles from the epicenter. Bakersfield, right? Classic and sincere. Missing children. That the parents, foster parents, excuse me, very much so, the foster parents removed from this planet through some viciousness. I just think it's interesting, right? Since then, the U.S. Geology Survey has recorded dozens, now this is since this morning, dozens of aftershocks ranging from 2.5 to as high as 4.5 in magnitude, none as large as the initial shake. But experts say there's no real way to tell whether a large quake is going to be followed by something bigger until it happens. Quote, hold on you guys, I'm going to have to lose that window. Quote, we have never found any characteristics that makes a quake more likely to be a foreshock, said seismologist Lucy Jones in the social media post. There isn't a known fault in the area where the earthquake struck on Tuesday night, but it's still an area known for earthquakes, said O'Kevin, U.S. Geological Survey Research geophysicist. Boy, these are some big words for Mama D. As time goes on, the chances of a bigger quake go down, but the swarm of aftershocks does raise an eyebrow. Because of productive nature of the aftershock sequences, the chance of another shock 5.0 or greater is slightly higher, Caven said. Quote, it's an interesting event in a place you don't normally expect it, but it is certainly earthquake country, so we need to be prepared for the probability or possibility of more to come. What is an aftershock or a foreshock? When an earthquake is followed by one or more quakes smaller in size in the same area, the latter quakes are called aftershocks. But when an earthquake is followed by a larger one, and the first quake then becomes known as a foreshock. The largest quake in the sequence is considered the main shock. Complicating matters, it's not fully possible to identify a main shock until after the fact. You have to wait to see if a larger quake comes. Have large foreshocks happened in California before? About half of California's biggest earthquakes in history have been preceded by foreshocks. California's increased seismic activity compared to elsewhere in the U.S. makes it more likely for large quakes to occur in sequence, but the relative rarity of large quakes still makes it unlikely. A sequence of small quakes that began rattling the morning of July 4th, 2019 ended up being foreshocks to two of the state's largest earthquakes in 2 decades, according to a scientist at Stanford. Later that morning, 6.4 near Ridgecrest, California, prompted evacuation and caused fires to outbreak. The next day, a 7.1 earthquake struck the same area. Research into one of California's largest earthquakes in history, the 1857 Fort Tejon quake, that hit with a magnitude of 7.9, shows that there were at least 2 widely felt foreshocks between 5 and 6 magnitude in the hours leading up to the main shock. But there's actually several devastating quakes that will eventually hit the state. The USGS estimates that within the next 3 decades, there's about a 46% chance of an earthquake magnitude 7 will hit the Los Angeles area, and a 51% chance it will happen in the Bay Area. Whoa. So, I don't know. I wanted to just kind of let you know. I talked about it that time because I could no longer hold it back. I was like, I kind of have a platform. I'm being guided. Get it out there no matter how you do it. And so that's what I did first. I want to send, just like, let's get chat back on the board. Let's get prayers. Oh, I don't have chat on. There it is. Debbie Garzardo is saying prayers for California, all Californians. I mean, even if you're visiting, whatever, we just want to send our healing, love, and that Band-Aid to hold y'all all together, you know. But if you are listening and you're in an area that you feel it might be wise, I would recommend getting familiar with what would you do if not just an earthquake. What if there's a crisis and you can no longer be in your home? Where in your community do you go as a group, right? What precautions can you take during that kind of a storm? Just think about things a little bit for yourself. You guys are brilliant. I know you will. And I wanted to make sure and get that out there. I know we're going through a lot right now with the planet. And so just want you safe. Hi, Kelly M. Let's see who we have here. Kelly M. Plexus Val, Karen Guy. Aunt Claire says, moved to California from Midwest, where many tornadoes, to quote Rosanna Dana, it's awful. It's always something. I can't do her. I can't remember how Rosanna Dana said, but that's a good memory. Yeah. Okay. Truthful. Hello. Welcome back. Sorry, Mama D. I'm not well. I'm going to have to try to sleep and get back with my playback. Oh, you're back. Oh, well, we send you lots of love and hope that you heal well. Good night, dear. So, hello, Deanna. Let's get on to this and really dig in. And I know I may have lost some viewers because they're like, this is nothing about Ellen Greenberg. But I do what I do for my family, and it's not about clicks and views. It's about safety. Just saying. I could have made it its own thing, but nobody would have watched it. And I have to get it out there. So I do it out of love, out of just trying to make sure everybody's heeding the precautions. Because like I said, I've been feeling it to the point it's being repetitive every day about an earthquake, not just in the little news I'm watching, but I'm trying to do pulling my cards. It's coming out. There's other things that are between me and my guides that are showing me I needed to share it. So I'm glad that I got that out of the way. And it could be nothing. Just take some preparations, right? All right, my loves, let's jump over. And we're going to have to put chat on the other side over here. And that's right. Hey, Jude. It's good to keep people aware of what is going on. All right. We got to move chat for a minute so I have room on the board. So I've got it on the second screen, but I also have it in front of me, but I can't pop it up on the screen very well. So we're going to clear the board. Here we go. Take a deep breath. Get a drink. As I read this to you, I'm going to try my best to spare you of some of my reaction because this is a cold read. So I haven't went through this. I read a little tiny news article that I'll go over in a minute that shows a drawing that where the wounds are, and it's not possible. It was a very, very weird quote. A civil suit reveals new details. Now, this was 2 years ago I'm reading you. There's a whole bunch more. We're digging into it. The parents have now come out and broke their silence. We're going in now to get this redone and really looked at, and possibly they may have it. They may have a true investigation into her death. But let me bring up why that's so important, because this could have been a cold case, but people like you care. People like her family, her parents did not give up. And sometimes, even though we're in a fast-moving, fast food, I want it right now for justice society, we don't always get that. It takes time. This is a hell of a journey to go on. The quote is, "It was very, very weird. A civil suit reveals new details in the case of Ellen Greenberg, whose death by 20 stab wounds was ruled self-unaliving." Because YouTube. I'm going to leave her right here. Philadelphia teacher Ellen Greenberg, 27, was found dead after 20 stab wounds at her Manayuk apartment on January 26, 2011. Now you're like, whoa, that's a long time ago. Hold on. Hold. Don't you dare leave me right now. You have to hear this. Her parents have filed a lawsuit against the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office and the pathologist who conducted her autopsy, seeking to have the manner of her death changed from self-unaliving to homicide and or undetermined. Read more, right? This is the family. A nor'easter was blanketing Philadelphia with snow when Samuel Goldberg's call came in to the city's 911 center at 6:30 p.m. on January 26, 2011. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to play his 911 call. I listened to it, and it's flat. Here's what he says, and I'm going to read it just like he said it to me, in my perspective. Help. I need an ambulance now. I just walked in my apartment. My fiance is on the floor with blood everywhere, he said. Goldberg, then a 28-year-old TV producer, had left his fiancée, a first-grade teacher, Ellen Greenberg, 27, in the Minhyuk apartment they shared to go to the gym in their building around 4:45 p.m. So it's a blizzard-type energy. Kind of reminds me of the John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, kind of like nor'easter, whatever that is, coming in where it's all snowy. So when he returned about a half an hour later, so he leaves the apartment, 30 minutes passes. He found the swing bar lock to their apartment was engaged from the inside. Now, I want to explain this to you. Hold on. This is a self-locking door. It swings open from the inside, but when it shuts, it locks again, is what I've understood. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you've done much more research, which you probably have. Unable to gain entry, Goldberg tried to reach Ellen through phone calls and text messages. But when she didn't respond, he asked the apartment building doorman on duty that night, Phil Hanton, to help him break the lock. Hanton said he told Goldberg it was against company policy. I would have called 911. Anyway, so Goldberg forced the door open himself. Inside, he found Ellen on the kitchen floor and called 911. During the call, Goldberg is initially unable to tell the operator where Ellen is bleeding from until the operator says she'll walk him through doing CPR if he's willing. Here's what he says, you guys. I have to, right? The operator then instructs Goldberg to lay Ellen on her back and take off her shirt. Goldberg, who noted that Ellen was already on her back, struggled. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh my God. And he doesn't even get excited. This is what he says. Oh my God. She stabbed herself. She fell on a knife. I don't know. Her knife is sticking out. There's a knife sticking out of her heart. Like there's no tears. There's no, oh my God, there's no shock. There's no exclamation point. There's no like, oh, there's no even faking it. The operator, oh, she stabbed herself? The operator says that. He says, I guess so, I don't know. Or she fell on it. I don't know, Goldberg says. Triching coming through. The operator then tells him not to perform CPR and wait for the police to arrive. 911 call from Goldberger, who declined to comment, was released for the first time last year as part of the discovery in the ongoing civil suit Ellen's parents Joshua and Sandra Greenberg of Harrisburg have filed against the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office and the pathologist who conducted their daughter's autopsy, Marion Osborne. After discovering a total of 20 stab wounds to her body, Osborne initially ruled Ellen's death a homicide. You heard me right. She ruled it a homicide. But weeks later, he changed her manner of death to self-unaliving. with no explanation to Ellen's parents, who learned about the reversal from the media reports. What? The 911 call paints a clear picture about what the first chaotic moments were like after Ellen's body was found. But it also revealed an inconsistency with police's long-held stance that Ellen was never moved from the slumped position on the floor in which she was found when they arrived, with her head, neck, and shoulders propped up against a corner cabinet. Not, as Goldberger said on the phone, lying on her back on the floor. Hold on. How did you try to take off her zipper thing? Okay, you could do that upset. Okay. And you couldn't do 911. They told you no. I'm confused. It's not the only inconsistency that has emerged during the Greenberg's family 11-year battle to gain insight into their daughter's death, the investigation that followed. Keep in mind, this was written 2 years ago, so it's now 13 years, which means it's about to go up. She's going to get justice. I can feel it. Unable to get answers from the city, the Greenbergs purchased their daughter's autopsy report and photos from the scene. Why did they have to pay for them? OMG, Lord have mercy. Our world is bass-ackwards. They have amassed a cadre of experts, a whole bunch, from forensic pathologists to blood spatter, it should say spatter, not splatter, specialists who have questioned the self-unaliving ruling as first detailed in March of 2019 Inquirer report. Let's get back over here. The Greenbergs and their attorney, Joseph Padres Jr., filed their lawsuit against the city in October of 2019, seeking to have the manner of Ellen's death changed back to homicide or undetermined, a move that would allow for an investigation to be reopened and pave the way for a possible wrongful death or misconduct lawsuit against the city. Quote, We are asking to change the manner of death and open a new investigation with impartial people and an impartial prosecutor, Joshua Greenberg said. We're not asking for the moon, just justice for our daughter. Ugh. The Philadelphia Law Department is ardently defending the suit and the unaliving ruling. Even if Osborne's feelings were incorrect, which the city contends they were not, the law makes clear that the medical examiner can be wrong as to the manner of death, yet cannot be compelled to change it, city attorneys wrote in court filings. The medical examiner can be wrong as to the manner of death, yet cannot be compelled to change it. What kind of insane, impossible law is that stupid crap? I mean, apparently if you are a crooked person, just become the medical examiner and let them pay you out and you'll be like, let that go. Nothing to see here. Okay. Oh. The Greenberg suit has unveiled new information about the unusual process around how Ellen's death was classified and new testimony about whether one of the wounds to her neck was possibly administered after the woman had died. How does she continue to harm her body, allegedly, if the wound occurs after she's already not alive? But will the civil suit, which is headed to Commonwealth Court, be enough to get the manner of death changed? And will that provide any more information about how Ellen Greenberg died, or provide closure to her family? One thing is clear: Ellen Greenberg's death remains a mystery. Even Osborne, who stands by his unaliving ruling, testified at deposition that the case was unusual. Quote, I think the consensus initially was that it was very, very weird, he said. Let's get into a little bit of new info back then. Amazing new info. The night Ellen was found, investigators on the scene treated her death as an unaliving, self-inflicted, because Goldberg was cooperative and stayed on the scene. There were no signs of an intruder. The apartment door was locked from the inside, and Ellen had no defensive wounds to indicate she fought off an attack, police have said. It wasn't until the next morning, when Osborne conducted his autopsy, that all 20 of Ellen's stab wounds, including 10 to the back of her neck, were discovered. There were 8 wounds to her chest, ranging from 0.2 centimeters to the final 4-inch wound of the knife still embedded in her chest, a 2-inch wound to her stomach, a 2.5-inch long gash across her scalp, and 10 wounds from nicks to about 3 inches deep to the back of her neck. There were also 11 bruises in various stages of healing on Ellen's arms, abdomen, and legs. Osborne, who's now an associate medical examiner in Palm Beach, California, or Palm Beach County, Florida, and declined to comment for the story, testified at deposition that at the time of the autopsy, quote, I did believe I had enough information to rule Ellen's death a homicide. But when he informed police of his findings, he said they asked him to list the case as pending while they continued investigating. In an unusual move, 2 days later, a police spokesman was already publicly disputing Osborne's findings, saying police were leaning towards self-unaliving and looking into some mental issues Ellen may have had. Stop right there. Did J.P. Miller, I'm just asking, know about this case? This case? Did he watch this and be like, okay, I can follow this? Micah Miller, right? Here we go. Given the stark difference of opinion, Osborne said he decided to have a neuropathologist examine Ellen's spinal cord to see whether it was damaged to the point it would have rendered her incapable of inflicting the subsequent wounds to herself, including the final wound to her chest. Osborne, who testified the spinal cord was, quote, an important question, said he asked Lucy Rourke Adams, a renowned neuropathologist who retired from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia in 2015, to conduct the exam. But instead of having her come to the ME's office, Osborne said he walked a section of Ellen's spinal cord over to Rourke Adams at CHOP, in, quote, very heavy snow for an informal curbside exam. What in the actual peanut butter and jelly are they freaking talking about? You walked part of her spine in a snowstorm to the curb and like unfolded a napkin and was like, what do you think? He said she didn't do a microscopic exam, but still able to tell him the dura, or the sheath covering the spinal cord, was cut, but not the spinal cord itself, and there was no indication Ellen lost any motor function. Quote, I was flabbergasted by the absence of professionalism surrounding that review. Dr. Osborne testified he had Dr. Rourke Adams do. Podraza, the family's lawyer, said, essentially, he's taking a pickle jar with Ellen's spine and brainstem through the piled up snow, walking with that across the street or a couple of streets, thrusting it into her hands and says, give me a look-see. No report by Rourke Adams was created, and a bill for her work was never found. She told the Inquirer in 2018 that she had no recollection of conducting the exam, and that without a report or a bill for her services, quote, I would conclude that I did not see the specimen in question, although there is a remote possibility it was shown to me. Okay. Sometime after Rourke Adams' alleged spine cord exam, Osborne and former chief medical examiner Sam who resigned in August 21, admit controversy over his office's handling of the remains of MOVE bombing victims, don't even know what that's about, said they were asked to attend a meeting with the members of the DA office and Fidelity Police Department. It is Mercury retrograde. Oh God, we gotta say the name. Okay. Golano said such a meeting was unusual. Neither pathologist remember another like it during their time in Philadelphia. It's clear that they were presenting information because they felt the manner of death was different from what had been ruled, testified Giuliano. During the reading, Osborne said police confirmed a doorman was with Goldberg when the door was broken, which played a role in his thinking about the case, he testified. Quote, it was important to find out if it was broken, if anyone was there to see it to be broken, or is it just the story we're getting from the decedent's boyfriend that it was broken by him, Osborne said. Quote, it doesn't seem like anyone else could have been in the room to inflict those injuries other than Miss Greenberg herself. And that is how I came to my conclusion of self-unaliving. You're smart. Where'd you get your degree? But Hinton, the lone doorman on duty that night, gave a signed declaration, probably an affidavit if you ask me, but I'm not a lawyer, for the civil case stating he didn't witness the door being broken. And video surveillance from the lobby obtained through discovery shows he didn't accompany Goldberg upstairs. Yep. At deposition, Podraza asked Osborne if he would have changed his homicide ruling to self-unaliving if there was still a dispute about whether someone was with Goldberg when he broke the door down, whether the door was broken at all, and whether the lock was engaged with Ellen was stabbed. Now remember, this is a live and a cold read. Bear with me. Give me some love. Give me some slack. No, I would not, Osborne testified, saying he would have been closer to ruling the death undetermined. For the Greenbergs and Podraza, this was damning testimony. Quote, Dr. Osborne said that if there was any doubt that the fiancé was escorted by the security guard, or if it was untrue what he had been told, then this cannot be self-unaliving, Podraza said. But Osborne testified he also changed her manner of death to self-unaliving because of the spinal cord examination, the lack of defense wounds, the lack of incapacitating drugs within Ellen's system, no signs of an intruder, the broken door, Goldberg's statements, and the police findings from the scene. Guglielmo, I have no idea how to say his name, I don't care, who did not return requests for comments, testified that after reviewing the case, he also believed, quote, it was possible for Ellen to have created all those wounds and found no reason to disagree with the self-unaliving ruling. His opinion was based in part, he said, on a 2019 exam. He asked Lindsay Emery, a pathologist in his office who also certified in neuropathology, to conduct on a section of Ellen's spinal column still in storage at the ME's office. It was still in storage, and she did that. Emery, who left the ME's office last year, so she quit after that, declined to comment, said that while she made no opinion as to the manner of Ellen's death, she found nothing that would have incapacitated her. If there are things they don't want revealed, why? Is in parentheses, or in quotes. However, there was something unusual Emery discovered during the course of her exam. She observed 3 injuries of note to Ellen's spinal column. 1 to the spinal cord tissue itself was done during the course of Ellen's autopsy, she said. But there were 2 other cuts, 1 to the bone and ligaments in the back of Greenberg's spinal column and a corresponding cut to the dura that were from a bona fide sharp force injury and were not done at the autopsy, she said. What was notable about those injuries was there was no hemorrhaging around them. Stop right there. You do know that means there was no bleeding. The person's heart had stopped pumping already prior to those injuries, is to the best of my understanding. But let's continue. Emery testified saying, quote, lack of hemorrhaging means no pulse. How'd she do that herself after she is no more? She offered 3 possibilities for the lack of hemorrhaging. There wasn't enough time between the wound was inflicted and when Ellen died for it to hemorrhage. The wound didn't disrupt the tissue enough to cause a response. Or Ellen was already dead when the wound was inflicted. Let me know down below. Do you think it's A, there wasn't enough time between the wound when it was inflicted and her passing? 2, the wound wasn't deep enough and so it didn't disrupt anything even though it's in her spine? Or 3, she could have already been dead and therefore there was no pulse. If the cut was administered while Ellen was alive, Emery said she'd have expected to see hemorrhaging. Bum, bum, bum. Quote, and the fact that now the dura is not demonstrating hemorrhaging, as you found also the spinal column didn't, would that weigh a little bit more to suggest an Ellen was dead at the time this wound was administered? Podraza asked. Yes, Emery said. Podraza called this, quote, amazing new information. A month after her deposition, the city filed a written declaration by Emery in which she said she didn't fully understand the scope of question posed by her at the deposition by the city's attorney, and presented several other possibilities for the lack of hemorrhaging, including saying that nothing was injured along the wound path, that bleeding in other areas of the body prevented bleeding in that area, or that the injury could have been done at the time of autopsy. Backtrack. I viewed the declaration as a deliberate submission to try and cloud her testimony, but it doesn't change what her testimony was, says Podraza. An uphill battle. Following the depositions, both the city and Podraza filed motions for summary judgment, which were denied in October, making way for the case to go to trial in the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas. But on December 23rd, city attorneys who declined to comment through a spokesperson filed a rare pretrial petition in Commonwealth Court seeking permission to appeal the judge's ruling allowing the case to move forward, claiming it was, quote, an egregious abuse of discretion that ignored binding precedent. The city argues that under the law, the medical examiner's, quote, inherent discretionary professional opinion cannot be challenged, and if the case were to move forward, quote, it will potentially open the door to a party unhappy with the determination of a medical examiner or coroner and open the floodgates to litigation. Temple University law professor Mary Levy, who specializes in appellate and civil procedures, said government officials can be compelled by law to perform a mandatory duty, such as determining a manner of death, but the law can't be used to force an official to reach a particular conclusion. That finding is subject to the professional's judgment, expertise, and discretion, she said. But Podraza, I'm just going to say it like that, believes Osborne's own testimony necessitates a change in the ruling, given the doorman wasn't with Kohlberger when the door was broken. Podraza argues that by Osborne's own standards, self-unaliving is no longer an option. Dr. Osborne said if certain facts exist, then he himself cannot agree with self-unaliving and the determination must be changed, Podraza said. We're just asking the court to effectuate and put into play what Dr. Osborne said should happen now that these facts exist. On February 4th, the Commonwealth Court granted the city's petition and ordered the civil trial to be placed on hold, pending a decision in the appeal case. It's Levi, I think, and I said Levy. Whatever. Levy said Podraza and the Greenbergs likely face an uphill battle given significant binding case law. Quote, there are decisions that are within the discretion and judgment of professionals, and they cannot be compelled or forced to change those decisions, even if they're wrong, she said. No date has been set for the appeal, but Podraza now says no matter who prevails, if there are subsequent appeals, it could be years before resolution. Let me just see how long this is. We're almost done. Questions remain. In December, Podraza provided the civil case depositions and other records to Attorney General Josh Shapiro's office, hoping it would reopen Ellen's case. The AG's office previously reviewed the case of 2019 and stood by the unaliving ruling, citing unaliving ruling-related searches allegedly found on Ellen's computer and text messages showing she was in distress. The Greenbergs knew their daughter was suffering from what a psychiatrist described as severe anxiety, But that psychiatrist told the police, quote, there were never any feelings of unaliving thoughts, according to the ME's investigative report. EG's spokesperson, Molly Schreiber, said the materials provided last year by Paparazzi, quote, brought to light new facts about this case, or no new facts about this case, she said, and the Attorney General's office stands by the unaliving ruling. For the Greenbergs, the irregularities are too glaring, and the secrecy around the case is still too stark. To this day, authorities have refused to release the police files in Ellen's case. They were not turned over in discovery, and they are not subject to the state's right to know law. Quote, if there are things that they don't want revealed, why? Sandra Greenberg asked. Let the truth set us free. Now, you guys, I'm going to come up to chat, but we're going to skip ahead. We're going to look at some photos. Trigger warning. I'm just saying, let me get chat back open. It's going to take me just a minute. I want you to see where these attacks happened on a dummy picture. All right? So, let me get this back going. Okay, I got it. No, I don't. It's not showing me any chat. There it is. So, this dogma. Okay, what? It's okay, Mama D. That's a lot to read. It was a lot to read, y'all. Let me move chat a little closer. So, hi, TCB01. This is insane. Cuts won't always bleed. If there's a severe initial injury, the body works to keep BD going to vital organs. Melody Kenneth, how would she have knife sticking out her heart and him not see it sticking out of the sweater he was trying to get off her shirt? He had to have seen it was sticking out. Hello, Az. Good to see you, my beautiful. Welcome back. You say I lived in Philly for about 4 years as an adult, and the LA is corrupt, is rampant in my opinion. While the world is without her beautiful smile. Look at her. She's gorgeous. Okay. So, let me get the goat. This is our mascot. Now, if you do not want to be grossed out, because that's what happens here, it's bad. And it's not real. They just are showing you, but it's still, looking at her and thinking about this, it's a lot. So trigger warning, it is true crime here. Here's our goat, what my dog chewed the head off of. Here's Billy, trigger warning. Because it's bad. All right, can you see? Let me make sure you can see, because if you don't want to get grossed out, don't watch. Okay, here we go. It's just a dummy. It's just a drawing. All right. It's called a photogrammetry recreating each of Greenberg's 20 stab wounds. Was commissioned by the Goldberg family lawyer. Photogrammetry, a new technology which was unavailable at the time of Greenberg's death, is able to create a 3D anatomical recreation of a corpse. I don't even. It goes on to say, here on this one, photogrammetry shows the size, the depth, and the length of each stab wound, with the creators concluding that all of them could not have been self-inflicted. All right? So let's go ahead and jump over to what's happening up to date. So this is a news article from July 31st of 2024, and that's current, basically. What was that? A week ago. Pennsylvania Supreme Court to hear arguments over 2011 death of Philadelphia teacher Ellen Greenberg. Right. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court will hear Mercury retrograde is killing me. We'll hear arguments from the family of Ellen Greenberg, a Philadelphia educator who died in 2011 in a case her family argues was not self-inflicted, as officials ruled. Greenberg, a beloved teacher at Juanita Park Academy, was found deceased in her Manayunk apartment in 2011 with more than 20 stab wounds, and she was just 27 years old. Quote, we don't believe our daughter committed self-unaliving, Ellen's father, Joshua Greensburg, told Joe Holden last year. Now, a lengthy court battle will continue to the next round. Pennsylvania highest court. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court only takes cases which it decides are significant enough standing to challenge a finding on the death certificate that limits someone's ability to collect victims' compensation, receive restitution through a wrongful death suit, or submit a criminal complaint. Podradza worded it like this, quote, whether coroners or medical examiners have absolute power, or can they be challenged when the evidence shows they are not only mistaken, but grossly mistaken. The neuropathologist hired by the city of Philadelphia once testified Greensburg was likely not alive when at least one of the stab wounds was inflicted. Something Podradza said means it was likely inflicted after she was deceased. The neuropathologist noted there was no evidence of hemorrhaging in her spine tissue, something that Podradza has argued warrants changing the cause of death on Greenberg's death certificate from self-unaliving to homicide, or cannot be determined, warranted further investigation. So you kind of know what's going on there and how it's affecting the parents, but here's what's next. The case will now be put on a brief scheduling, and attorneys will start filing documents and making their arguments to court, Podradza says. The process could take over a year to play out, he added. Quote, there are cases with issues arise which are strange, and they should not be pushed or brushed under the rug. And they should be looked at closely because everybody deserves justice under our system, Podradza said. Aside from the Supreme Court's involvement, the investigation now sits with the Chester County DA's office due to conflicts in Philadelphia and with the state attorney general. Now, I do want to throw this out. Mental health care resources and support are available, and this happens to be, and I don't know what area it is, but it says 1-800-950-NAMI, NAMI for mental health. You can also dial 911. Let's get back over to chat, and we're gonna close that out of our way. Let's get our little board. Whoa, I moved it around. It's going crazy. Let's get over to chat. I'm like, how could this even be considered self-harm? How? Let me clear the chat and get back on here. Trigger warning, right? Seriously. Sassy says, sadly, it doesn't surprise me. Ellen's mom said her laugh was infectious. Aunt Claire, thank you for sharing. You said currently in our country, ME, medical examiner decisions can't be challenged and are final. Law needs to change as most are not EXP and are elected like Idaho 4 case. There you go, there you go. What chaps my arse is that they want us to believe their insanity, in my opinion, says Karen Guy. Aunt Claire says the corruption in this, fiance and lawyer uncle allowed into unsecured crime scene and removed Ellen's laptop, phone, and more. Then, like 2 days later, professional cleaning services cleaned the crime scene. Boom. Truth. To my knowledge, that is true. Hey, Katie Bug, how are you? Good to see you. As says so, I had to catch up on 11/11. Did they ever say what order the metal stuff happened in? I have no idea, lovely, what you're asking me. I drew a complete blank. Help me out. Yeah, it was my first time hearing about this too, but Ellen Greenberg is one of those cases where when you see that picture, and I'm not going to show it again, trigger warning, go back and rewind it. Look at those wounds. How? And if you wanted to, we could go into this and talk about how she had to change hands too. Or flip the knife or something. I mean, there's so much to this case. So, I want to know why it's not being investigated like a homicide should be. It was first ruled a homicide. With that little private meeting and him being a TV producer, could that have anything to do with why that ME was like, oh, wait. I think she self-deleted. It just blows my mind. Aunt Claire says who fills her gas tank, starts making fruit salad, then decides they're gonna off themselves. Who makes a fruit salad and decides, hey, I'm not gonna eat healthy today, I'm leaving this planet? I don't know. Right. You guys are excellent. You've done your research. I'm not going to keep this any longer. We've been on here over an hour. I just wanted to bring this out. If you want to continue to follow it, let me know in the comments after the live, in the rewatch, the replay. Because I'm going to watch and see if this is something that you feel, I mean, if we get a great response, we'll keep it in our profile. And I'm just coming to you each day. Not, there's really nothing for me. I'm not gonna force topics. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to talk about right now in the Sebastian case. Yes, we have Betty Bullhorn going to court tomorrow. Will she show? Will she be fined? I don't know. I think the whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. I really, really do. I think it's absolutely ludicrous, but that's my humble opinion. There's nothing for me to talk about in the Idaho 4 case. The Jay Slater's wrapped up. I'm not going to go backwards and start opening old cases. So I love spending time with you. I truly do. And some of you love spending time with me. When it comes to earthquakes, I want you to take the precautions. And if you want to follow this case, let me know down below. I am starting a new journey in my life, and I welcome you to join me tomorrow on Truth Train Tarot. Yes, it's another channel. This is spiritual guidance. I do a Lionsgate reading, 888 Lionsgate reading, and as well as fire signs are released tomorrow in their own video. You're a fire sign if you're a Leo, an Aries, or a Sag. And it all starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And we also have 1111 crime story where we're doing pulling cards, right? For all kinds of cases over there. Tomorrow, we're pulling cards on Granny B in the Sebastian Rogers case. Now, I continue to come on here because I love you guys. I love seeing you, and I love spending time with you. But unless something miraculous happens, I probably won't be on tomorrow. Unless, like today, I wasn't going to go on. But when I heard about the earthquakes, in this case, I was like, what? And I wanted to share it with you. Now, we are nearing 30. Oh, did I shut it off? Oh, I think the battery went. Yeah, I got to charge it. But, oh, I shut it off. We are nearing 30,000 subs. Whoops. Okay. And when that happens, I'm going to go through my subscribers to give a beautiful thank you back to you. What? Oh, I don't even have it on camera. Hold on. One lucky subscriber is going home with this beautiful DVC, digital video camera. So you just put DVC giveaway, be a subscriber, and someone's going to win this. It will be posted in the community post, and it did slow down a little bit because we're in a lull between cases, but I don't want to not cover other cases that need attention. We still have work to do. Just because it's not a case that's going on like happening yesterday, we still need to be supportive. And look how close they are to achieving getting some help, getting real eyes on the case because of social power. We the people. Thank you. All right, my loves, with that, let's go ahead and jump off here. I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you. Aw, thank you, Jennifer Swain. I greatly appreciate your continued loyalty and support to our 1111 family and our community. Without you, I wouldn't know what to think. You're very supportive. You're amazing. And there are days where I'm like, it's hard to make it on YouTube. And I know some people think, oh yeah, you're making a fortune. Y'all, it's not true. It is a great life, and I do love it. But it's because of you that make it possible for me to do it. And I don't ever, ever forget that. I am thankful for every one of you. Whether you hit like, you hit subscribe, maybe you share the video, watch the video all the way to the end, or just clicked I love you in a comment. Thank you. All right, my lovelies, with that, maybe I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see. Otherwise, if you do want to check it out, we have 2 other channels right now. Train Tarot, brand new channel. Hasn't even got a video out. It's got like 63 subscribers already. So check it out. We have 4 videos being released over there tomorrow. So it's Aries. There's a video for Leo. And there's a reading for Sagittarius and Lionsgate. All coming at you. And after that, there'll be another sign, and on and on and on, and we go. And like I said, Granny B in the Sebastian Rogers case. Check it out. I love ya. To the moon and back. We'll see you again very, very soon. Peace out, my beautiful.